Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're looking at two things which are really the same thing, and what they are is poking a text shape hole through a stroke. Now I've got a video on how to do this using a filled shape, but in this case we want to use the stroke, and this was a question which came up on my YouTube channel. So I'm going to start with the ellipse tool. I'm going to make sure I don't have any fill at all, and I'm going to give this ellipse, which is actually going to be a circle, a stroke. Now it doesn't matter what color stroke I use, but I'm just going to use black. So I've got my color selected, I've got my shape selected, I'm holding down the shift key. I'm just going to drag out a really large circle. Now the stroke is really small, so I'm going to crank that all the way up to 100 points. We might need it to be a little bit bigger, but for now that's perfect. Now just in case you want this to be type on a path, then you would need to actually do type on a path. If you want it to just be regular type, then you're just going to put your type over the shape that you have drawn, over the stroke that you've drawn, but I'm going to do it for type on a path. So I'm going to take this shape here that we just made, I'm going to make a duplicate of it. The reason for this is that if we make type on a path, we're going to sacrifice our shape in the process, and we need the shape to be able to cut a hole in it. I'm going to target the topmost one of these shapes. We're going to the type tools, and you're going to come down here to get type on a path, and we're going to make this white so that we can see it. So let's just go and make it white type. So the stroke has turned white, but you can just ignore that right now because everything's going to work out just fine. We're going to click on the path, and then we're going to start typing. And in spite of all my good intentions, it just ended up being black text. You can see it over here. So I'm just going to go and select the text, and let's make it white. Back with the selection tool, you can see that the type is forming around this circle, but it's sort of centered on the circle. So we're going to fix all of that. I'm going to the direct selection tool. I'm going to hover over the type. Now this is the beginning and end of the type, and this is the flip me over the axis. So I want to flip it over the axis, so I'm just going to drag it here, and then I'm going to drag it around so it's on the sort of bottom of my circle. I'm just placing it basically. Now you can see that the actual black area is not thick enough. So if we go to the layers, this is the text layer. You can see it doesn't have black on it at all. All the black is coming from this circle here. So let's go back and get our circle, and we could shrink it if we wanted to, or we can just enlarge the stroke. Now I'm going to shrink it, so I'm going to target it. I have the selection tool selected. I'm holding the Alt key and the Shift key as I just drag it in, so that it's perfectly positioned still, because I have the Alt and Shift key pressed down. On a Mac, of course, that would be Option and Shift. The circle is just coming in on the same axis, so it's centered around the same spot. So this is my text here. This one here, it's just showing up white, and this is my black stroke. So I'm going to select both of these, the text and the stroke, and the text is on top of the stroke, and that's the important thing. Again, if you're not doing text on a path, you'll just type your text and just place it over the stroke so it looks something like this, so you can just see all the text. With both these objects selected, and this is critical, it's just going to make life so much easier. If you've got both these selected, you're going to Window and then down all the way here to Transparency. Now the Transparency dialog has got this button called Make Mask, so we're just going to click it. And we're sort of halfway there, but not quite there. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off Clip, and we're going to click here on Invert Mask. And what that does is it's punching the text out of the stroke. Now I can prove that to you because I've got in my layers palette, I already created a background rectangle of color on this document so that we could test where we were. And you can see here that the text is clearly being poked through the stroke because we're seeing this background behind it. And the text is changing color according to what the background is. So let's go back to our transparency panel. You want to make sure that before you leave the transparency panel, you click on this button here. This is the document, the piece that we're working with, and over here is your mask. So anytime you want to work on your mask, you'll click over here. Anytime you want to work on the rest of the document, you'll click over here. So in the layers palette, the difference is going to be that this word ellipse, and it could be anything, you can type whatever you like there, is going to be underlined, and that's telling you that there is a mask or there's something different here about this particular shape. So it is possible to poke a hole through a stroke using text, using the transparency panel by making a mask. Now this also works on solid objects, so it would be another alternative option to use. It's just that the option that I explained in the video, which you can see linked now in the top corner of the screen, actually only works on filled shapes. It doesn't work on strokes. So I hope that helps. It's certainly a nice quick way of making masks and getting some interesting effects, and this is going to be particularly important if, for example, you wanted to print this on a t-shirt or on a mug or something. If it's going on a pink t-shirt, then the text being poked out of this circle is just going to show the t-shirt color through. So there is a use case for this, an important use case for being able to poke holes and things in Illustrator. And of course this text remains fully editable. If you wanted to edit it, you can go straight back to the transparency panel with it selected. Let's just go and select it. Go back to the mask, and with the type tools we can come in here and we could edit this by just treating it like any other text object. Go back to the main object, go back to our selection tool, and everything's just adjusted accordingly. So it is fully editable text. We like fully editable text when we can do it because it is so much more robust. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results, then you'll love my Skillshare content. I'm a Skillshare top teacher. I have hundreds of short courses on Skillshare that you can access, along with thousands of other great courses, all for the price of a single subscription. If you're interested, there's a Skillshare coupon for you in the description below to use to sign up. Using this coupon benefits me as a creator, and it helps me continue to make free content available here for you also on YouTube. Thank you for joining me for this video tutorial. On the screen now, you'll see a video that I've hand-picked for you. If you enjoyed the video you've just watched, I know that you're going to really enjoy the one I've picked for you to watch next.